Our first speaker this morning is from Rudy Agro, Mike Baerwald, and he's the local grain manager for them. He grew up in the Tisdale area, Star City, and he's been working in the farm industry all his life. He's a hockey dad, an active family, and he's also here with Dale Cole from the company and from Rudy Agro, and they're going to give us a update on their options that they have available for pulses in 2020.
Perfect. Good.
I put a podium out here. I don't know whether you want it or not, but
that'll work great. Perfect. Thanks, Gary. And thanks for taking the time this morning as well. I see some familiar faces out. Wes sends his regards from another country, and I always laugh because everyone that knows Wes, he usually isn't in the country half the time anyway, so he has stayed away from certain countries in the last little bit for obvious reasons. But today we're just really quickly talking about our program, what we've got going on. We thought about pulse options. What are pulse options this year? And when we looked at the slide, and I kind of put some stuff together here, he's also looked at really what's profitable pulse options, really what it should start off with. There's lots of options out there. At the end of the day, we still need to make some money at it. And we need to make sure that we're doing a good job for the future. So not just 1 year, not just 2 years, but looking down 4 or 5 years down the road as well. So, what do the markets look like? Bullish factors on the market. The Canadian Pulse Price Index is up 14% over Q4 2019. Wes likes numbers a lot. And so he goes through a lot of talking about the number part of it, which is very important at the end of the day. So we want to continue to the IC, well, we'll talk about ISC, which is India and subcontinent demand for red lentils, for example. May going forward, we think the future support values is there. They're going to continue importing lentils and other products, but they're not going to do it directly. And I'll get into that a little bit more in this talk. So when some of your marketers may have told you, well, India's not buying or not moving, that's true. They're actually supporting their local grower, but it doesn't mean that the supporting countries around them aren't bringing product in and smuggling it in on the black market. So it's really hard to regulate that and follow that program. Domestic North American pulse demand has definitely increased. Especially in the U.S., there's been a lot more demand, which is good for us. Depending on ships sailing overseas is difficult. And so when we get our local demand up, that supports all of us. That's a good thing and a good option for us. So quickly, chart-wise, I don't like charts, a whole bunch of them, so I won't bore you guys with a bunch of charts. But this one in particular was really just about the price index. And I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but the green line on the bottom is the U.S. bean market, then the Canada special market, which looks supposed to be red, and then the top one is the world pulses as well. So really just look at it, they fluctuate, and you can see the bean one go up, and of course because of last year's harvest, pricing's gone up quite a bit down there as well. So expecting to have a good acreage again for beans down in the U.S. This coming year. So ISC factors, India's direct imports from North America have decreased from 2018, and which is true. Their government said they were going to support their local growers, and they have done that. But really what they've done is they've had to find other ways to support, and they're the biggest consumer. We need them to buy in our pulse industry. However, imports by other ISC countries have increased nearly 500,000 metric tons. So we're talking about Pakistan, Bangladesh, all those countries surrounding them. They basically, cargo is finding, basically at the end of the day, cargo is finding its way into India. It's just having different routes to do it. And unfortunately that means more hands touching the product, which means sometimes the price continues to get driven down as well. That's the marketplace. So even if India does reduce tariffs, may not translate really into increased prices, because they're getting pricing and products from all the other surrounding countries as well. So there is a supply there as well. So just quickly, what those countries are, and you can see how close those borders are for us. And these are things we look at when we talk to buyers around the world. Right now, we're dealing with probably 31 to 32 different countries around the world. We have different buyers, we have brokers, we have other people that we just touch base with and try to make sure that we're up to date with the market. But you can see, when you start talking about countries, we're fortunate here in Canada where we have only one major one that touches us, but other countries that have, they have different laws and different implements, so they can bring product in a different way than we can normally bring it into us. So quickly, just some quick facts. I mean, domestic North American consumption as well is increasing. You can see field peas, lentils, chickpeas, and when you look at really the domestic usage, you look under field peas and it says 233% up on our own use, for us using it in North America, which is a huge factor. Lentils not increased very much, but when you look down, when we get down to US, you'll see that those numbers jump. Chickpeas up at 202%, and fabas were pretty much maintained their own. US field peas, we got 160% up. Lentils are up 658% in US consumption. So what does that mean? Why do we bring it up? Well, we don't always have to rely on overseas. We need to find some domestic market, and we need to start eating our own products as well, because we ship a lot of it out. Lots of people in the US have done a change and are doing that. And the chickpea one, unfortunately, just cut off there, but the chickpea market in the US is up 144%. So throughout all those pulses, those are all have increased. So that's a good supply, good knowledge for us to know that, look, we're domestically, we have product coming and moving around here in North America. So what do we have? Us at Rudy, we have basically some pulse options this year. This doesn't list, there's a couple other extra ones as well, but we have our White Mountain pinto beans option as well this year. We have cranberry beans, marrow fat peas, Japanese maple, and a fava beans as well, and just a small program. So White Mountain pintos, developed in Saskatchewan. Basically, it's really a good option in irrigated land here. We have White Mountain 2 seed available this year. That will phase out. We have a White Mountain 3 seed that was done over the last 2 years, and basically we'll phase out White Mountain 2s and introduce our White Mountain 3s, which have seen some significant increases on yield, and that was really our goal there. So we went out and invested in that and wanted to make sure that we had the best seed available. So that'll be available starting this year, but mainly in production starting next year and the following year after that. And again, just looking down the road. Pinto bean market definitely is stronger due to issues that last year in the US. And you'll see lots of seed go in this year as well because of the prices increased as well. So ending stocks used to 2020. Crop remains low at 6.2%. So ending stock is really what's left over after they consumed everything. So they're calculating 6.2% is still left out there, which is a relatively low number, which is good for us as growing it, because we want it to be low. That supports the price when it's lower like that. And the price range should range from roughly 32 to 38 cents a pound for 2020, 2021, and of course depending on currency and weather. Unfortunately, I couldn't make this any bigger, so this is as big as it is. We do have this information for you if you want to look at it closer. But this just shows really our White Mountain 3 line. And then for the highlighted area there is just a comparison to White Mountain 2s. And we saw a 14% increase on yield over our White Mountain 2s versus our White Mountain 3, which is a very significant number once you start putting in those acres. So. US pintos, really just supply and demand chart. I mean, these are available to everybody, but This kind of gives us an indication what we look at. We look at these once a week and just see where the market's at and give us an idea. You can see where the supply demand is. Really the bottom number where it says stock use ratio is a key factor. When you can see 2015 where this one starts, they had 21% in, so there was a lot of product there still. That becomes almost a buyer's market in a way because there is lots of product out there and they can start try to buy it. But as you go through the years, you get to 16, you get 17 in there, you get into 18, and then all of a sudden you hit into 19 where you got 0.5%. Well, that becomes a market for us to support you guys, you know, as growers and say, hey, we need to push back a little bit and what prices can we get? So there's just an basically in-out ratio there. And again, this year, that 6.2 which is a great number to be at because it doesn't mean that there's a whole bunch of product out there. There is some, which is good, but at the same time is there's some product that we can move this year. So our Glacier program, I'm not going to go through all that. We do have our programs on the back table there as well. Dale brought some copies and Dale's available to talk to you guys about any of the programs as well. But it goes under our Glacier pinto beans or White Mountain 2 seed. We sell it under our Glacier brand name is what we do, which recognize in a few countries now. So, in our program this year, really it's been pretty much the same program that we've had. We have agreed price programming and we also have pooled price programming, which we can talk to you guys later. Cranberries. There is competing origins for cranberries for sure, and mainly U.S., Argentina, and China have quite a bit of land in cranberries. Basically, what we want to do with ours is we want to make sure that we have a larger size bean there. That's the most important thing with the cranberries. Cranberries, if you haven't grown them, they are unique and they are difficult at times because there is a difference between a 1 and a 2 and a drastic difference in price between a 1 and a 2 as well. So some of the colored bean types, quality is most important for sure. We have to have a low crack seed coat, which is CSC. It needs to be below 5%. So when we soak it, we show it to our buyers. It's a very competitive bean, has a good price, but also is a very finicky bean as well. Now the color here you can't see, but I think you get the idea on the shading of it. And the shading of it, if you see on the right hand side, you have a number 1, which is more like a 48-cent product. And on the left, you've got a darker cranberry, which is more like a 40-cent market. So really a difference, and these are only different. We show these ones because this is a difference of farming it 2 days later. That's how much time it took to turn this product. So it's really finicky as in harvest time and making sure that you're on top of it. We're fortunate enough that we do have some assistance, agronomy assistant in our facility, which Michelle Walker does travel with our growers, and maybe she's been out to your farms, but she does do travel and she's going to continue to do that. We've convinced her to keep doing that for us. So, but she does go around visiting the growers that we have contracts with, just making sure that they get the most up to date, and if there's anything we can do to help, we'll help. Marrow fat peas, basically used for snack food mainly in Asia, and that's our big marketplace. Wes has been dealing with marrow fat peas for over 26 years now. He's done that for most of his professional life, and really the marketplace continues a steady, slow climb with marrow fat peas, and that's why it's a key niche market that we don't oversupply it. We want to make sure that we keep it, that it is a steady growing market, but at the same time as we don't oversupply it. Competition, our main competition is from UK, and New Zealand does have some acres in as well. Typically yields 15% less than your normal green pea that you grow, but price is normally 35 to 40% premium on it as well. So price versus the volume you get as well usually works out quite well. Peas are best swathed in fall and preserve the color. Last year I think we had 6 growers that actually swathed sprayed side by side on a couple fields for us. And there was a significant difference in it, and significant difference for them to make money at as well. So that was a huge change for us. Swathing does help maintain that color. Peas performed very well on irrigated land, as they do in dry land. Irrigated land last year, we had some guys out in the Alberta area. We had a group of growers that actually approached us, and we worked with them last year, and they were getting around 55 bushels an acre on their irrigated land for peas, which you can calculate that out. They were getting $12.50 a bushel for their peas earlier on in the market. And of course, the pooled price for them moved up to $13.75 as the market. So as you can see that there is good performance there on irrigated end as well as dry land. Japanese maple. Basically, it's a heirloom variety. It's called leafed. Irrigated yields have been 50 to 60 bushels an acre for the last 2 years that we've been doing it. It's used for sprouting in Japan. We do have a couple people in Taiwan and China, but our biggest supplier is into Japan. It's consumed as a vegetable, and really prices have ranged from $14 to $16 a bushel. So a great pea option out there as well. Seed quality is very important. Minimum 90% germination is required on the buyer's end. So by the time we clean it, package it, ship it, and send it out overseas, it still has to hit 90% germination on their end. Of course, it's used for sprouting, so they need to have it hit their minimum specs as well. This is a factory, and it doesn't really do it justice over in Japan. This one here is the size of 4 football fields, to put it in perspective. And this particular company we work with has 15 of these units out there. And basically what it's used, it's all in a track system. So from day 1 of planting, from day 2 to day 3 to day 4, all the way when it turns around on day 36 out the door, that they have a little tiny sprout that's sitting about this high. And they basically sell it into the packaging companies, and people take it home, cut it off, put it into their soups, use it in a salad, and they actually get 2 roasts off of it. They throw it away and they start again. So it's really a program that they've come across that they've done very well with. So that's what their maple pea program is. And we continue to see more companies trying to get into this marketplace over there. And here's a finished product that they have that they would actually put that into a package just like that. People would take it home just like that from your local grocery store. Faba beans, you have, I think somebody right after me was much more knowledgeable than I am in faba beans, but really our primary market, and something just new to us, is into the edible markets. We have some Middle East contacts that have been contacting us for 4 or 5 years, wanting us to supply them, and we decided this year that we would get into it a bit. We do have some seed available for this year's crop. And really, quality is key there. Can't emphasize that enough, but large size with even color is always what they're going to look at for faba beans. Feed markets are established at a discount, which is good because you also have somewhere to go with the other products. And it's great if you can grow a number 1 product across, but what do you grow when you get what happens when you get a 2 or a 3 or a feed product? What happens to that? That's the key to it. Protein market is also being developed within North America, and I think there's huge potential there, and that market will continue to grow. So quickly, supply and demand on faba beans. Again, you can see the acreages they're putting in, or rough estimates on it as well. But the use stockage is the important one as well. You can see that it's being very well used. There isn't really a high that you saw in some of the other pulses where you get up to 36 or 40% of stock really on hand still at farmers. So it's being used up, and at 5.4%, it's a good number to be at.
Mike,
Yep.
is that use ratio, is that including the feed as well? Or is that just the edibles?
No, that is the feed as well. That should be both the stats. It should be everything that they have. So just
basically good, clean, quality faba beans. One of our buyers supplied this. What are they looking for? It's great to say that they want a good product, but we always ask, what are you looking for? Typically, it starts with a good picture from them, sizing and dimensions and what they want from us. Then, of course, you get into a market with lower quality, which you get into fall weather. Everyone's experienced that, and getting into the feed market. So you have to have a place for both, for sure. Southern irrigation, perfect for productions. Fabas do require more water than field peas, so it's a good fit for irrigation as well. It has been grown in the past here. Talked to Dale a little bit this last week about it and just his experience, and he has seen it come in and go out type thing. It's really just, typically it's on supply and demand, so we want to make sure that we have our buyers in place before we jump in with both feet, and that's typically how we do everything. So irrigated trials have done well at ICBC with yields approaching 100 bushels an acre or greater on irrigation. So again, good value there on another pulse option. We will be working exclusively with varieties Rodeo and then LGFN for 2020 trials and seed increases for 2021. Brought this up because on the very bottom you'll see the Rodeo variety as well that's out there. That was a seed that was available to us, and looking at the averages, what you should expect. If you look at outlook, for example, in yields, you're looking at close to that 100 bushels an acre just around our area here. So really good option for a pulse crop.
What's the base temperature?
Those ones are 120 to 135 on some of those. They're earlier than some, but well, they're actually later than some. You can get 95 to 100, but they are a little bit later. So you're looking at late September type harvest at least.
So we were saying maybe later than so.
Yeah, a little bit later than this one.
All right, well, that's
Thank
good.
you. That's all I have. Yeah.
Any questions for Mike, more?
How much were the fabas worth?
Fabas, that's what we're trying to establish today. We don't have, I didn't put that number up because I don't have a true number. I don't want to tell you something that I don't know.
What's the history of the faba price for that?
I think today you're like $9.25 for number one. It's pretty typical today. For feed, you might be down to $8 today. And that's from some other ones, other people selling it today.
I've been talking to some of my marketing people about faba beans, and they're really discouraging me because they say they're hard to move. Even with feed, they're talking like $5, $6 per feed, and talking about guys that have been sitting on it for a couple of years that can't believe it.
Okay.
What's
We-
your answer to that?
Well, and again, it's something new for us. Our supply that's overseas right now, and we have a particular buyer that Wes has been working with for 25 years and has been pushing to get it. He has no issue, and he said he could buy whatever we could supply type thing. So what we understand is if you don't get a number one, if you're moving into the feed market, you're getting into some protein markets as well. And if you look at the supply in and out, it's a low I think it was 5.5%. It's a pretty low number to look at. Whereas you see other pulses, guys are sitting on 36%, in bin say. So that varies. I would look further into that and I can get more information for you for sure.
I can add a little bit
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely,
to
yeah.
that. So I'm Sherry Lynn with Southern Gospel. I'm not sure what the question is. In terms of, the stories of guys who stuck with battle beans, that did happen a few years ago when we grew a lot of the lemon variety. And if they're off grade, they are very hard to get rid of because they have to be rehauled before the feed market. So the feed markets prefer the low yielding varieties, which if you grow those, there really hasn't been too much of an issue in the erosion. And that is, you can add to that as
Great, no, thank you for adding that, no. And again, it came to us, we held off on it, but we keep hearing demands from our buyers, and it's like, okay, well, it's time for us to look at it, because if it works, it can work for a grower, and we know we can make it work here. We wanna be part of that, we wanna be part of that league, so, for sure.
Mike, on your Japanese maples, if you miss that 90% germination cut, where do you end up with product pricing?
So that, we actually end up going into a feed market for that.
So that'd be significant.
It gets into feed, but it is better than just your local pea feed as well. We look at it, what else can we do with it? I'd say 90% of our stuff did hit that 90%, so 10% didn't last year, which was, sell off at the feed, which we got, I think it was around $9 for or something. So it was still a decent price.
The other thing I was wondering about, the 100 bushels an acre for Faba kind of floored me. I haven't seen those numbers. Were they actually getting those numbers from you?
That's what we got from local guys, yeah,
Local
absolutely.
producers?
Yeah, absolutely. We had testing done out here and that's what we got, so.
That's a big number.
We're getting anywhere from 60 to 90 every fall.
So, and the variety, so there's quite a bit of varieties out there, and Motown is definitely what we want to focus on for us. It helps. So. Good, thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Let's give Mike a hand. I was